Hello, my name is Tamar. I will share my research relating to the sensorial fonts. Think about any sensorial impression you might have, like the hue, the scent, the texture of a flower. Can you express it in details using words? Like what is exactly the shade of that flower? What exactly is the scent or the texture? We quickly understand that we don't have the words to express exactly the sensorial experience of a rose or anything else. In English, you would say ineffable, something that is difficult to or impossible to put into words. So when I ask myself what structures an expression of a sensorial impression, I would say there are two possible venues. Either the mind and the brain are wired in a way that disable us to do that, or is it the culture or the language that inhibits this kind of expression? And the question differs, depends who you ask. I would briefly say that beyond the 5 regular senses, I also look at the vestibular, proprioception, and interoception, the hidden senses that informs us what is going on within our body. And in 2010, Majid and Levinson participated in a conference that asked these questions, exactly this question. Is the possibility to express sensorial impression is limited by culture, by language, or by our brain? One of the participants shared an experience, and he said, imagine a Zulu village, a Ghanaic village where people are talking Zulu. And it's hot, it's summer, people are just sitting at the edge of the village, and a fruit and vegetable merchant comes by, and they're having a discussion about the fruits. One of them would say, Igbedi sini 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 sini, which means the cassava is beautifully smooth. One would comment on the beautiful shape of the avocado and would say, Pea says, I don't know how to say it. And one would express his concern that the bananas are not ripe enough. And he or she would say, Kanya ame titiriti. These are all ideophones. Ideophones are symbolic sound symbols, sound paintings. And they are different in any other words, or they have their own grammatical inner logic, which has to do with a way the sound and the meaning coincide in some way. It's not common, it's nearly never, doesn't nearly ever exist in European Western languages. It does exist in many Eastern languages and African languages. And for me, it's an inspiration because I'm always looking for the non-arbitrary sign. So I'll push through. I'll just say that in the past, people would say the ideophones are like sound pictures. And at the present, you can see products. For example, malang malang is the sound of squishiness, and you can find it in an actual product. So it's something really present within our cultures. And so I said to myself, okay, how can I make a visual ideophone? How can I make a symbol that is not arbitrary and that will serve as a linguistic platform on which we can express sensorial impressions. And to do that, I had to answer 3 questions. Can we map sensorial experience systematically? Is there a unified way to express all types of sensorial impressions? And what could serve as a non-arbitrary sign? So I did that. The first question I answered based on many sensory-driven surveys. I looked academic surveys, and I realized that in many of them, when you want to map sensorial impression, you would use 2 axes. The valence axis, which is the positive mood or the negative mood, and the how intense is the experience. And I see it here in an experiment mapping the correlation between scent and emotion. I see it here relating to sound. I see it here when you map emotions. So I said to myself, great, I will use that. I will use these 2 axes to map sensorial impression systematically. That was the first question. These are audiophones mapped on these axes. I'm just doing it very quickly. We can go into details on a later occasion. So the second question is there a unified way to express all types of sensorial impressions? And I would say that since most sensorial impressions, all sensorial impressions are actually basically waves or just energy, then we have a common denominator that we can use, which is the wave format. Because if I see a light, there is not actually a light to be seen. With my mind, with my sensorial experience, with my sensorial typical arrangement, translate the energy to an experience of light. A bat would translate it differently, and then we can speak about qualia, which I will not get into right now. So yes, there is a common denominator, and that would be waves. In this 1800s, there was an experiment, and it is very prevalent to this very day, and I would ask you to think with me, which shape is Kiki and which shape is Bouba? Is the sound Kiki or Bouba relates in your minds to the symbol, the prickly symbol on the left, or the wavy symbol on the right? Most of the people would say that the prickly symbol is Kiki and the wavy symbol is Bouba, which means there is a correlation between sound and shape. I take that and I embrace that. So, yes, I answered yes to all 3 questions, and now I'll share the font. So, if I take the axis and I say to myself, wavy length symbols denote good feelings, and prickly symbols denote bad feelings, I have a system that will enable me to express how intense is the experience, the sensorial experience, and how pleasant or unpleasant it is. And I use also the body, because I'm dealing with embodied cognition, which I will not get into right now, but I refer to the hidden senses. I refer to the way the body, the sensorial impression is connected or related to different parts of the body. So my font has three signs: the body, the prickly, the Kiki, and the Bouba. And with this, I can express a lot. For example, the ideophone doki doki, for Japanese, being excited, being nervous, would be expressed as a body with a point in the center and a strong, intense feeling of unease. Maybe for you, it's not. Maybe for you, doki doki means not an experience that is not as intense. Then you would choose to use this symbol. This symbol maybe. Okay. And I checked it in writing. I translated text and into these symbols. And I found out that by doing this, I uncover a hidden structure of the sensorial impression of the reader or the writer. So I found an underlying sensorial subtext. And I based this inspection on the term chronotype, which means that whenever you read a text, the text you read is being imagined by yourself as you are enacting or creating the text that you read in your mind's eye. And then what about the sensorial impressions? Putting aside just other linguistic methods, there is a lack of the ability to express sensorial impression in writing. So this could be a different way of experiencing that or tackling that. And what would be the next steps? I could think of other symbols, not just the waves, maybe closed symbols, maybe different ways to portray the body. But also, if we think about the Kiki Bouba as a communication method for sensorial impression, we can get away from the written text and see that if we match it with emojis, for example, you would see that when you look at these two smileys, upside down smiley, the upper one with the Bouba, with a strong, with a low, with a high intense, would probably say, very nice, but a bit weird. And if you look at this upside smiley with a Kiki, with a low intense, you could say, it is as if it is weird, but actually it's horrifying. Or any other combination that says that we can add a subjective dimension that can be communicated between us just by adding these symbols that are systemized. And then there's another step. A step that is a wearable project that uses the Kiki Bouba communication system to allow people to communicate a state where their sensorial experience is being altered by the suit. I will jump on all of that and come to the project. And the project is a sensorial bodysuit or a wearable that shifts your sensorial impression by altering the way your proprioception and your interoception in non-technical ways, and having a goggle that will enable you to look, instead of looking straight, you will see your own body, and so on and so forth. I plan to invite people to wear this on the Beyond the Body exhibition in Venice next month. And the way you wear it depends on your sensorial sensibilities. So it's gradual. First you wear the armor, and then you can twist it around to suit your own profile. And then if you want, you add the goggles and you add all kinds of elements that creates a specific persona for each of these visitors. And then I invite you to share on a small boat trip and to share your experiences using the Kiki Bouba communication method. And we'll see what happens. Thank you for listening, and I hope to continue discussing that with you. Have a nice day.